This Can't Be Happening at MacDonald Hall by Gordon Corman, age 12. Chapter 10. Breakfast at Scrimmage's. At daybreak, Bruno and Boots were trudging along Miss Scrimmage's driveway. In the grey dawn, they could barely make out the ruined hedges and flower beds. "If there was any justice," mumbled Bruno as he pushed the wheelbarrow, "I would be riding in this thing and you would be pushing because this is all your fault." Boots ignored him. His attention had been captured by something else. "Ah," he said with delight, "we were expected. News travels fast in this place." He pointed to the orchard. Slung across two apple trees was a makeshift banner. "Welcome, Bruno and Boots," it read. Under the sign stood a small folding table covered by a bedsheet tablecloth and set with Miss Scrimmage's best china, silver, and crystal. A cardboard sign on the table said, "Breakfast is served." Milk, orange juice, fresh rolls and butter, strawberries, and cold cereal awaited the boys. "Those girls," sighed Bruno gratefully. "They remind me of us." It was the highest compliment he could pay. Their spirits much improved by the welcome, Bruno and Boots feasted like royalty. They were reluctantly preparing to start work after their hearty breakfast, when they heard footsteps rustling in the grass. Diane and Kathy soon appeared, leading a parade of girls in jeans and t-shirts. "Detail, halt!" ordered Diane. The girls stopped. Kathy walked up to Bruno and Boots. "Good morning," she greeted. "We're the Good Samaritan Committee. You just relax and leave everything to us." She turned to Diane. "All right, let's get to work." The boys watched in fascination. Two girls took down the banner and began to dismantle the table. The rest set to work with shovels and hoes on the garden and hedges. In an hour's time, the hedge looked almost normal, and the flower beds, although a little bare, were once more neat and orderly. "Where were they," gasped Bruno, "when I was catching ants?" "I'll bet they're good dishwashers, too," added Boots. He shivered at the image of himself in the MacDonald Hall kitchen, up to his ears in soapsuds, earning his measly $1 an hour. Kathy, covered in earth, her arms scratched by the bushes, came over and dropped exhausted beside them. "That's that," she puffed. "Sorry, but there are an awful lot of dead flowers that will have to be replaced. Maybe this will help." She dropped a battered paper bag into Boots's lap. "There's $14.09, she said. "We took up a collection at dinner time. It's sort of a contribution for Saturday's entertainment. Even Miss Scrimmage gave us all her change, but of course she thought we were giving it to the Red Cross." "You are so wonderful," declared Boots, "that you defy description." Bruno just sat there shaking his head. "I don't know what to say." "You?" Kathy laughed. "You don't know what to say? The mouth is silent?" "Say thank you, Bruno," said Boots. "I don't know if I can," Bruno grinned. "I have a feeling she's the one who pulled the fire alarm." "Right," Kathy giggled. Then she shouted, "All right, girls, give it to them!" Before they could move or try to defend themselves, the boys were attacked by the work crew. The girls smeared dirt all over their clothes and their faces. "Hey!" gasped Bruno. "What's this for?" "You wouldn't want Mr. Sturgeon to think you'd been taking it easy, would you?" Diane replied. "We're supposed to have been gardening, not digging a tunnel," Boots protested, spitting dirt out of his mouth. "And the fish won't even see us," groaned Bruno. "You've messed us up for nothing." "And you're supposed to be so smart," Kathy scoffed. "Make sure he does see you. Go to his office and report that the work is done. When he sees you, he'll feel like a first-class heel. You two are the most pitiful sight in the world." A few minutes later, the boys walked across the road and back to their own campus. On the way, they began to discuss their next move. "I don't know," said Boots. "I think we'd better give up. We're never going to get rid of George and Elmer and get back together again." "We're not giving anything up," Bruno said stubbornly. "Bruno," Boots argued, "this time we came awfully close to getting expelled. Nothing is worth that." "I have one more plan," said Bruno. "As I always say, when all else fails, be an angel." "An angel?" Boots echoed. "Yeah, you know, good behavior, good grades, the whole bit. We've got 2 weeks until exams. If we can make a good showing, I bet we'll get put together again as a reward." "That's a great idea," Boots finally agreed. "It might even work. At least it won't get us into any more trouble." "All right then, let's do it," Bruno decided. "I expect straight A's from you, Melvin." "The amount of time I've been spending washing dishes," grumbled Boots, "the only thing I'm going to be able to get an A in is home ec." "Straight A's," Bruno repeated. "See to it." The two boys walked along in the damp grass until they came to the faculty building. Boots tried the door. "Rats," he said. "How come it's locked?" "Because it's only 7 o'clock," Bruno replied. "Oh, well, so long." Boots turned to leave. "What do you mean, so long? You heard Kathy. The fish has to see us. We'll have to go to his house. I didn't get all muddied up for nothing." "His house?" Boots asked in dismay. "His house," said Bruno calmly. Bruno and Boots walked across the campus to a small cottage with a white picket fence and climbing roses. Bruno rang the bell. The door was opened by a small, dark-haired woman in a flowered dressing gown. "Good heavens!" she cried. Whatever happened to you? Good morning, Mrs. Sturgeon. Mr. Sturgeon told us to repair the damage to Miss Scrimmage's gardens, said Bruno. We just came to report that we're finished. If you finished? Mrs. Sturgeon exclaimed. What time did you start? 5:30, replied Bruno in his most pitiful voice. Without breakfast? Come in at once! Mrs. Sturgeon bustled them ahead of her into the kitchen. When Mr. Sturgeon came down for breakfast, he found the boys established in his cozy kitchen eating his porridge, with Bruno seated in his favorite chair. As he entered, they jumped to their feet, raining mud all over the clean white floor. Good morning, sir, they chorused. Good morning, boys, said the headmaster. He sent a puzzled look in the direction of his wife and got an angry glare in return. The coffee's not ready, dear, she said coldly. I've been too busy with these poor boys. Mr. Sturgeon looked at the bedraggled pair. To what do I owe the honor of this early morning visit? We just came to report that the work at Miss Scrimmage's is completed, sir, said Bruno, and Mrs. Sturgeon very kindly asked us in. All done, you say? That was awfully fast work. We wanted to get it finished quickly, sir, said Bruno smoothly. We do have exams to think about. Yes, that's very wise, mumbled Mr. Sturgeon. You will have to study hard. And they will need their sleep, snapped his wife. Bruno and Boots gulped down the rest of their oatmeal, thanked their hostess with touching gratitude, and said goodbye. As they crossed the campus in the direction of the dormitories, Bruno mused, I always wondered if there was a higher authority in this place than the fish. Now we know, laughed Boots. Mrs. Fish, he must be getting heck. That was a terrible thing to do to those children, Mrs. Sturgeon scolded. It's a good thing their mothers couldn't see them this morning. But Mildred, those two, I don't care what they've done, she interrupted. Getting children out of bed at 5 o'clock in the morning and working them like animals without breakfast. Speaking of breakfast, said Mr. Sturgeon hopefully. I don't think you deserve any, she replied, but you may have some toast. The boys ate all the porridge. In spite of his annoyance and hunger, Mr. Sturgeon was beginning to feel a little guilty. Maybe I was a little too hard on them, Mildred. I won't make them pay to replace the dead flowers. And I suppose I can take them off dishwashing duty. After all, it is exam time. That's better, said his wife triumphantly. Care for a scrambled egg?